Welcome to another edition of Business Today, where we discuss in depth the business world and its dealings. As always, we've got a great show for you. Today, we are going to be focusing on the insurance industry. To do this, we have brought on an industry insider to our studio. We'll learn a little bit about him before we have a chat.
Mr.Prakash Schafter is the executive chairman of Janashakti Insurance. He is a leading insurance personality in Sri Lanka, Cambridge educated, and has 3 decades of experience in the insurance industry in both Sri Lanka and the United Kingdom. He led the Janashakti since 2006 as its managing director through a growth phase that saw Janashakti become the largest insurer, acquire the non-life segment of AIA Insurance Lanka, and most recently engage in the divestment of Janashakti's non-life segment. He was appointed chairman in November 2018. As the former president of Insurance Association of Sri Lanka, Mr. Prakash has engaged through several industry-related committees and led the discussion on regulatory changes, including the separation of life and non-life business segments. He continues to impact the business sector through his membership of the Sri Lanka Institute of Directors. Having been among the youngest fellow members of the Chartered Insurance Institute, he has also served as the president of the Young Presidents Organization of Sri Lanka.
And Mr. Prakash Schafter is in the studio with us. Great to have you on. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here as well.
Of course, you're here representing Janashakti Insurance as the executive chairman, and of course you're in the director board of the Janashakti group of companies. So before we head on to the companies itself, I think because of your industry experience, I think we should start with an overview of the insurance sector in Sri Lanka. Can you just...
Okay. The insurance industry in Sri Lanka is a very vibrant one. We are split into life insurance companies and the general insurance companies, and we number approximately 20 companies in all. The industry has been growing over the years at a double-digit growth rate, both in the life sector and the general insurance sector. So overall, the industry has been doing well over the years.
And how is the COVID situation affecting all of this?
That seems to be the main question that a lot of people are asking. Well, COVID is something which impacted not only the insurance industry, but every industry. In fact, every walk of life, not only in Sri Lanka, but across the globe. I will just focus on what we did as a company and also what the insurance industry did. So we had multiple challenges. The first challenge was to ensure that we continued to service our existing customers. There was a lockdown of almost 2 months, or really more than a lockdown, a curfew. And we had to facilitate payment of premiums. We had to open our branches, though in a limited capacity. And then there was the need to get new customers on board. This was a time when customers most needed life insurance and other forms of insurance which provide protection to the person and to the family. So we had to make ourselves accessible. And I'm happy to say that we managed to do all of this. We had well laid out contingency plans which were put into operation with the onset of COVID and the curfews which were applied. And I must say all credit goes to our senior management, which planned every step which needed to be taken, and we were business ready in next to no time. Our staff were able to work from home, and we were able to shall I say, proceed with the digital strategy that we had already embarked upon, and we were able to service our customers and also get new customers.
Okay, that's so growth as well during that particular trying period.
Well, I wouldn't say growth in relation to previous years, but certainly we managed to gain new customers as well as service our existing customers, and we were quite proud of what we were able to do during that period.
That's nice. And of course, this brings me to your company itself. Now, of course, Janashakti Insurance is something that a lot of Sri Lankans are familiar with. But going back to the origins, how did it actually start up?
Well, going back to the origins takes me back down memory lane in a way. We started in 1994 as a small homegrown life insurance company. The concept of Janashakti was thought of by my father. He had a burning desire to start up a life insurance company. And he took almost 2 to 3 years to get the license. Licenses were not easy to easily obtained. So it took a lot of time and effort, but we eventually got the license in 1994. And I think the key factors were the name Janashakti, which was thought of by him. And that strikes a chord across the length and breadth of this country, across the races. It means everything in all languages. And it is not only confined to Sri Lanka, but even in the entirety of South Asia. The word Janashakti has a meaning.
Shakti and
people's power, basically. Yeah. So it means the same thing across. And also the lamp logo. The lamp logo was something, again, the Matipahana as we call it, was something which strikes a chord across all communities. And today we have a brand which is recognized across the length and breadth of this country, not confined to insurance alone, but extending to other areas as well.
So talking about your personal experience in the company, as of course a family member, you would have been there when the idea originated, maybe the conception of the company itself. So how did you get involved in the family business, and how did you actually have the journey to your helm?
So when the company was conceived, I was not in fact in Sri Lanka. My siblings and I were in the UK, we were studying, and my father used to share his thoughts with us, his thoughts on life insurance, how he wanted to start up a company with us. It was in a sense fortuitous that it never happened whilst we were away, and when we returned in 1992 to Sri Lanka, we were able to accelerate the project to start the life insurance company. And we started it a couple of years after we returned. And it's been a great journey since then. We started life insurance in 94. We started general insurance in 95, a year later. And we became the third largest general insurer in a very short space of time.
Now, talking about the journey, of course, there has been diversification, there has been expansion. Can you take us through that particular aspect of it?
Okay. So we started off in insurance. My father had been in insurance for many, many years, close to 3-4 decades when he started Janashakti. And we then went into life insurance and general insurance. Thereafter, the holding company, which is the Janashakti Limited, decided to move into other areas. And we have, over the past many years, moved into the non-bank finance sector. We have a finance company. We moved into investment banking, and we moved into housing. So we are there in multiple sectors, though our main focus is on the financial services sector.
Financial services. Now, talking about the industry itself, of course, there is a lot of competition. When you started, of course, there weren't many insurers in Sri Lanka. Over the years, a lot of international parties have come into the fold. There are, of course, some Sri Lankan firms that have started up. So you mentioned about the logo and the name, being something that is resonant with the public. Apart from that, how do you feel that your company has distinguished itself from other competition?
Well, when we started in 94, I believe we were the 6th company to start transacting insurance business in Sri Lanka. Today it has grown to over 20 companies. I think we have distinguished ourselves over the years, both in the life insurance arena and the general insurance arena, as an innovative company, a company which was willing to take risks and was willing to go into areas where others were not willing to venture. If you look at even our branch network, within a year and a bit, we had over 100 branches. That was a feat in itself at that time. And our reach in a short space of time meant that we became a household name, able to reach our customer base across the length and breadth of this country.
And something that you mentioned earlier caught my interest, the licensing for an insurance company. So what are the responsibilities an insurance company holds to its consumer base and its shareholders in terms of business?
Well, as you said, insurance companies are licensed, and anybody cannot go out and start a company and start transacting insurance. The reason for that is that insurers are custodians of public monies. And especially in the life insurance arena where we are operating, we collect monies from customers with a promise to pay out on death or many years later, sometimes even 30-40 years later. So therefore, we have that responsibility to ensure that we act as guardians of customers' money. that the decisions we take don't risk customers' money in the process. And the government or the state recognizing that ensures that all insurance companies are regulated so that customers' monies or the citizens' monies which are placed with insurance companies are protected. Also, insurance companies over a period of time garner funds, and the funds that they used are invested back in the country.
Oh, that's of course giving back to the economy.
Well, yes, in a sense, because it is these investment returns which enable us to pay customers, but in turn the monies that are generated serve as vehicles for investment, or we serve as a vehicle for investment.
And of course, like I said, this is a trying time for many people. COVID-19 hit, a lot of people went through hardships. What are some benefits of dealing with the insurances that people might not be readily aware of, especially in...
Well, it has been a trying time for everybody, and I'm hopeful that this period of time would be over soon and that we have better prospects ahead. I'm always hopeful, and unless we are hopeful, we cannot really be in business and look forward to something. So I'm confident that things would be better as time progresses. With regard to insurance itself, I think at times like this, especially with COVID-19 and the pandemic happening, that is when insurance is really required, because that is when people are at risk. So we in the life insurance industry, in fact, provide customers with insurance against medical calamities, against personal accident, and also in the event death cover, where if in case somebody who is insured with us dies, we provide money to the families. So that is the real benefit of life insurance.
That is, of course, I think a lot of people do need that cash at hand if the breadwinner or something.
Absolutely. So that is the main, that is really the original and yet the main function of life insurance.
And talking about your general insurance wing, of course, you actually got rid of it after a while. You sold it, not rid of it. So how did that particular transaction come to be, and what was the thought process behind that?
Okay. We got into general insurance a year after life insurance. We grew the business. In fact, we did better in general insurance than we did in life insurance. We acquired the National Insurance Corporation in 2000. We then acquired the general insurance company AIA Lanka, which was operating in Sri Lanka. In the year 2015, we merged that with Janashakti General, and we were a clear number 3 with plans to forge ahead. Our vision had always been to be the #1 insurer in Sri Lanka. But looking ahead, we as a group saw that there were various challenges in the general insurance sector. It was very price competitive. It was also challenging to grow our market share, and we had that vision to become the largest player. And unless one grew market share, the ability to operate profitably was not there. So at one point in time, we felt that moving out of the market would make sense rather than remaining in a market which was competitive and would not have necessarily given us the rewards that we saw going ahead.
Yeah. And now talking about your business again, now you mentioned about working from home. You know, everything, you think about insurance, you think about people who are coming to your home and telling you, hey, are you interested in these policies and all that stuff, or you think about going to an office.
Okay.
How did that particular transition happen, and what have you learned from actually working from home and working from distance?
So I'd like to bifurcate the two areas of life insurance. One is the selling side, where agents or staff would visit customers and sell insurance. My view is that is very much yet the case. In Sri Lanka, life insurance is sold, it's not bought. So it's a hard sell. You have to convince customers of the need for life insurance. And this can really be done at this stage of our socio-economic development by directly calling on people and talking to them and convincing them. So that hasn't changed in its entirety, but it has changed to some extent, because we as insurers, if you talk about my company too, we are focusing on digital sales. We've developed and launched digital products which customers can access on the net. So there are products which customers can buy, life insurance product, but I would say yet it does not account for a significant portion of our sales. Now, as far as the back office is concerned, there we've been able to adopt work from home technology quite successfully. Started off with COVID, where people had to stay at home. We had to continue servicing our customers, so we then enhanced the technologies that were required to permit that. Now, we can go back to work, but we see there are distinct benefits in continuing that. And I would think that even post-COVID, we would yet continue to adopt a hybrid system where a significant portion of our staff would be permitted and continue to remain and work from home. I think it's a win-win for the staff and for the organization.
The new normal has changed the normal as well, I think.
Oh yeah, that's one thing which has changed totally. The work from home and how you would adapt technology to run a business. That has transformed the way that we work anyway.
Yeah, and also now you've been in the industry for such a long time. Your company's been one of the pioneers. What type of policies should we adopt to actually innovate and actually improve the current industry of insurance or financial market side?
Well, that's a broad, sweeping question, and I think a lot of it rests with the insurance industry. I think if you look at life insurance, which I'm probably better placed to talk about, despite having so many insurers in the market, the levels of penetration of life insurance are very limited. Even if you compare ourselves with South Asian neighbors, our levels of penetration are far less. So it means it's in a sense a disadvantage in that it shows that we have not done what we need to, but it also means that there is a lot of scope out there. There is a potential for insurers to go out there and market life insurance. So we've got to really look at how we as an industry make the maximum of this. How do we convey to the consumers in this country that life insurance is a must and that it is something that they need to have.
Yeah. Something that's very important. Now, of course, talking about life insurance, I think a lot of people have discussion now, is life insurance right for me? What type of things should people really look towards before buying a policy?
The need for life insurance, as far as I'm concerned, during the life cycle of an individual is certainly there. The need for life insurance would not apply to a minor. So once you reach adulthood, you do need life insurance. And life insurance is not a single product which fits everyone across the board. At different stages in your life, you will need different types of life insurance. So for example, a married person with a family would need a different type of insurance to someone who does not have a family. So it's a single individual who is working and who does not have a family would require a different type of insurance. So the important thing is to ensure that the type of insurance that you have meets your requirements, and that's where the life insurance agent plays a key role. And companies have to play a key role in training the agent to ensure that he sells right.
Training the agent.
Training the agent is key, and ensuring the agent continues to sell the product that the customer needs is critical.
I think I want to ask this as we depart. Because you're an entrepreneur and you mentioned a lot about the team you need to build, what type of conversations do you actually have with your team members? How do you actually solve a problem within a company? Do you discuss it with staff or do you let them figure it out on their own?
Well, like with any organization, there are challenges. I wouldn't term it problems, but I would say challenges that we face. And the ideal approach is to encourage team members to discuss amongst themselves and to arrive at the solutions themselves, though maybe as a senior officer I would may be able to guide them, share my input, share my past experiences, but the best methodology I think is for them to figure it out, because that's the learning which would take them to the next level.
And when you're recruiting, what do you actually look towards in an applicant? How do you actually distinguish someone who's right fit to your company?
I think each job role requires a different type of applicant, but generally if you ask me, one of the key things that we need to look at and do look at is whether the person would fit into the culture of the organization. And also at the more senior levels in the organization, we would look for attitude. The can-do attitude is very important. The willingness to take on responsibility. That I think counts for more than necessary than just academic qualifications alone.
Yeah, that's really important, I think.
Absolutely. Attitude is key. Building
a corporate environment and sustaining it, and I think that helps every business to grow.
You can't do it without that.
That is some valuable advice. That was Mr. Prakash Schafter, the Executive Chairman of Janashakti Insurance PLC with us. Thank you for joining us, sir. Great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with that, we will be winding up today's edition of Business Today. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.